at this time in life, we're moving to a time where instead of proving ourselves, we need to be improving ourselves. Instead of showing off, showing up. I just want to give myself some grace and be like, you don't have to be bossed to the wall every day.
Welcome to the Blueprint Breakers podcast. What is a blueprint breaker? If you live your life outside the typical traditional lifestyle blueprint, you are a blueprint breaker. We are here to start a conversation, to assemble resources, and to build a community. This podcast is for empowered women in midlife and beyond who are preparing for a powerful next era of life. My name is Amy A. Palmer. I am your host and facilitator for our conversations. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. To stay connected, up to date, and to receive all of our free resources and gifts along the way, join us at community.blueprintbreakers.com. Today, I'm joined by Angel James, a former Emmy-award winning TV news producer who walked away from her 20-year career and reinvented herself as a social media creator. Angel has built an incredible community of more than 200,000 Gen X women who connect through her joyful, nostalgic, 80s-inspired content. In our conversation, we talk about what it really means to start over in midlife, why authenticity matters more than algorithms, and how to embrace the adventure that comes with this season of life. I can't wait for you to meet her. All right. Welcome, Angel. I am so glad to be sitting here chatting with you today. So good to see you. Welcome to Blueprint Breakers.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I've been wanting to for a very long time. As I've mentioned to you, I've been following you. I started following you on TikTok first. That's how I found you few years back. And there's something about timing, right? In terms of like you find the right messages and you find the right people at the right time. It was at a time when I was really struggling with what's this next season of life going to be all about, and like I had a lot of heaviness happening, and your TikToks were just so joyful and just so your spirit like just comes through. And so I found it and also very nostalgic. So in fact, before our conversation today, I was playing my 80s pop to get used to them and back
Yeah.
because it was like, yes, all the anthems. I loved it. So let's start with a little bit about your TikTok origins. Like what brought you onto that platform? How did that all happen for you?
Oh gosh. I was a TV producer,
Mhm.
producing local news, and I quit. Call it a midlife crisis or whatever you want to call it. I didn't realize that's what was happening at the time. But after over 20 years in the business, I quit one day, and then I didn't have any real direction as to what I was going to do next either. What
Yeah.
am I doing right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a son to raise. I wouldn't change a thing. I got to spend some of his latter high school years with him. TikTok came along because I fell into they say to follow your passion, but also follow what you do well.
Yeah.
And I started going to a boot camp and talking to this person, and people I had known through TV. And I'll just never forget this boot camp person. Does anybody ever recorded you doing this? And so I love the fact that she always said, "You're 5 years ahead of your time." I don't know if you're familiar with Gary Vee, but
Yeah.
like I was D-Rock,
Mhm.
just documenting, and I fell into having a social media business with no intention. It just kinda happened, but it made sense coming from the TV world. It's basically making
Yeah.
content just for a different medium. And I was booking like 75 segments a week as a TV producer, so this stuff just comes naturally to me. But the TikTok thing, COVID happened. Anybody I work with in TV would tell you that I don't know that girl.
Really?
I
So it was
like
like a
you
new side.
Yeah,
That was a new side.
I used to, like, I mean, I would we would have so much fun because it was a live 5 or 6-hour show every morning, so we had fun
Uh-huh.
ladder hours and did spoofs, and so I had some acting roles then, but I, like, stayed away from the camera. I mean, like, if I went missing, you would probably have a hard time finding a picture of me, and then COVID came along, and then TikTok
Uh-huh.
came along, and I actually got on it to learn it for a client, and I never expected to get anybody like looking at my stuff. I just wanted to learn by doing. And so
Mhm.
that's how it started. And with COVID too, one of the things about social media is staying consistent. And it's just I made an appointment every morning to show up with my coffee every morning. And I think that was just a different era for TikTok though too. During
Yeah.
COVID, it was a complete TikTok's changed a lot since then, but back then
Mhm.
it was the savior for many, many people during the pandemic.
It it definitely was. And so there's so many different things that you could have done. What made you tap into the type of content that you were making? Because it was all very it's very upbeat and fun and playful and joyful. You know what I mean? And especially connected to music and the 80s, all of that. How did that all come together for you?
I just did what came naturally to me, really. Like 80s music is all I know. So
Uh-huh.
I was doing the Gen X stuff before it got to be the cool thing to do 5 years ago. So
Right.
yeah, I was just doing the music that I knew.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing how with our generation, I mean, music connects you like
Yeah.
nothing else does. It bonds you with people. Sometimes with all the Gen X stuff, and we were latchkey kids, we did all this, but at the end of the day, we are like sharing our collective trauma. In some ways, but it's like we all grew up with that. We all grew up with that music, and I think I wasn't doing. I can do trends, but I don't chase trends. I just do me instead of pretending to
Yeah.
be somebody I'm not.
Yeah, I noticed it's pretty rare that you'll do a trend video. Like, once in a great while, you'll do one, but it's mainly your own content and your own focus. Do you remember the first time that one of your videos went viral?
Oh yeah.
What how
Oh yeah.
that must have been weird, like,
Um,
you probably didn't expect that, or
I
did
no, yeah, I didn't at all. Yeah, and like it was actually a trend, the very first one, but ever since then,
Uh-huh.
the stuff that it is always the stuff that is sitting in your draft. It is always the stuff that takes you 15 seconds to do. It's
Uh-huh.
always the stuff that you don't spend hours on. I'd say 9 times out of 10, every single time there has been a viral video. It's literally pulling something out. I mean, literally, I remember, like, laying in bed, pulling something out of my drafts, putting some text on it, and that's gone viral twice because 'cause I've reposted
Mhm.
it twice.
Right.
And the thing is, it is so authentic that I tried to do it again, and I can't repeat the
Right.
mood I had in that video. I can't duplicate the moves I had. I not that I have any,
Right.
but
Right.
I can't duplicate it. I think that just goes to show that because I see a lot of people say that. Why is it that the videos we spend the least amount of time on go viral? And I think it's because we do it and it's the most authentically us.
Yeah.
Because
It's
once
the
you
most
start spending an hour on something, you're molding it into something that isn't maybe you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what it is because you are very genuine in what you do, and you can tell that you're connected to it and you feel something, and I think that's what's resonated. So I think it would be hard to try to intentionally replicate something
Mhm.
on
Yep.
purpose.
Yep, and at the end of the day, I was in the drama club. This is
Uh-huh.
all when COVID came, it was an outlet.
Yeah.
So it was like and let's not forget that nobody knew me on TikTok. I would have never
Right.
done that, not that it had the availability, but done that on Facebook or maybe even Instagram. Nobody knows me on TikTok, so there was a freedom and
Right.
getting to do me in the way I wanted to do me.
Uh-huh. So that's a good point too, because you start out with trusting a little bit of level of anonymity and privacy and all of that. And then as your following starts to grow and your platform starts to grow and it starts to become something bigger, like how was there any particular adjustment you had to make for yourself to get used to that? Has that been an issue at all?
Like, I'm different. I don't go, like, viral with every single video. I'm very
Mhm.
comfortable in getting if I get it sounds really probably stingy, but if I get 1,000 views on a video, I'm like, "That's a good day." I don't go into it looking at the numbers. Like, I had a friend say to me once, and I didn't really understand it when it was happening, when it was starting to happen. She was like, "You're leading with your heart, and you're gonna win in the end." Because I wasn't monetizing it. I wasn't And I still have, and I've backed away some because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm actually like an introvert. Like a lot of
Right.
actors are introverts. And I go from day to day. Some days I just want to run away from it, and other days I'm like doing 10 videos a day. So
Right.
that internal battle happens with the best
Mhm.
of us. Trust
Mhm.
me. But it's also been the best thing. Me posting after I quit my TV job and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I wrote a blog. I was so scared to post that blog on Facebook, so
Mm.
scared. And I did it, and then it was like all the people I worked with because I disappeared. When I quit, I was like literally the gatekeeper for all of these segments, and I handled it badly. I feel because I don't think I realized, am I really doing this? Am I really leading?
Right.
But then I started posting on Facebook, and then people are like, "What are you doing now?" There's a big benefit to
Yeah.
posting. There's a big benefit, and at the end of the day, too, I think people overestimate how much people care about what you're doing. You know what I mean? We get stuck in our own heads so
Yes.
much, and holding back is only costing you. Being scared of somebody trolling in the
Right.
basement is only why are you giving them that power? So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that too. I think any of us that are online in any way have elements of that little voice in the back of the head worried about the criticism or the judgment and all of that piece. But I think pushing through that and doing it anyway is just so huge.
and I
And
think most people are really, really kind.
yeah,
They're
that's
they're
true.
really, really kind,
Yes.
and yes, and even to this day, I will admit I can get that 1,000 really nice comments, and then I'll get one.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
just had one the other day, and, like, there were 600 comments on that video, and
Uh huh.
one.
And the one. Ugh, yeah.
Just just that but, like, why do we give it that power? I know what she said isn't true. So, yeah, you've gotta get past that. You're denying yourself so much because by not posting because you're scared of you don't want that kind of darkness in your life, you're blocking out a whole
Yeah.
bunch of light because there's a whole lot of light out there to be had too.
Yeah. That's spot on. I'm with that 100%. So, have you evolved what you're doing? Is this like a new evolution of your business and things that you're doing? How are you using this to help you in your life?
Again, it's a creative outlet for me. I
Uh huh.
I actually got one-off T-shirts printed that had Gen X on them, like, way before everybody else started doing them and making a ton of money. And look, I kick myself a lot because after everything I just said, I held back. I was like,
Yeah.
"What do you know that kind of attention?" A lot of people, like, move to the New York area, like, either to get discovered or disappear, and I feel like I'm here to disappear, get the
Yeah.
attention on but you'd be amazed at I feel like I've never sold anything, but people still find my Gen X shirts and buy them, and that's something that your listeners could do I mean, there's Printify, there's all these kinds of different T-shirt making shops, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't do anything. They take the orders, they make them, they ship them, and I never hear anything about it, and you just get a commission off of that, and it can add up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you still have your social media business?
I produced television in Norfolk, Virginia, and St. Louis for a combined over 20 years. And I moved here a few years ago and I kept it for a while. But the way I was doing it, like I explained before, I was at those boot camps at 5 a.m. in the morning, recorded that. I held on to it for as long as I could. But then it was like, I didn't feel like I was letting myself experience New York with one foot back in St. Louis still. So
Right.
so eventually, yeah, one by one, let the client
Mm-hmm.
go. Yeah.
I also really enjoy your New York City content. You have this knack for finding like places and events and little corners of the city that I've never even seen before. Is that just you exploring the city yourself? How does that all come
Oh,
about?
yeah, probably on a daily basis. I feel everybody's different, but for my midlife journey right now, I don't expect to be here forever, but it is honestly the best place I could possibly be because every day there's a sense of awe. All I have to do is go to a
Mm,
different street. All I have to do is go down a street a different way, and it just looks different, but at the end of the day, too, I was a news producer, and I'm always digging for things to do, and I think it's so important for people our age to get out and do
Yeah.
those things and eat dinner by yourself, eat lunch by yourself, go get that cup of
Yeah.
coffee. I went to London solo by myself a couple of years ago. I've never done an international trip by myself in my
Mhm.
life, and just to prove to yourself that you can. It has been the most empowering thing in the world, and I wish everybody had what New York has to offer because you can sit nobody cares. Nobody cares what
Right.
you're wearing. Nobody cares if you're sitting there having dinner alone. But at the same time, I had a DM from a woman who lives it had just moved to the St. Louis area. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you made the biggest mistake. There's nothing to do here." And I'm like, "What?" I lived there for 20 years and I just listed off all the things. And if you've got a library, you got something to do. I
Right.
look up, I've been to so many book signings and book talks, and there's plays here too. But like, I know small communities have a lot of that stuff too.
Yes.
And going down streets you've never been down. I think it's so important to do that and be in that sense of, have that sense of awe. Amen.
When I see you doing that, I wonder, do you have a plan for the day when you go and do those things, or do you just head out and explore?
I mean, sometimes I have a destination so that I'm like, I feel like I'm driven to a purpose, but I think but usually after doing that, it's like, the wandering
Mhm.
is like the best part, but yeah, I tried, "Okay, where am I gonna go today?" And I think to the subway, it took me a really long time to ride the subway, not because of the stuff they say. The subway is the best thing in the world here. It moves millions and millions of people a day. I love the subway, but it took me a really long time because I was scared of going in the wrong direction. And isn't that
Mm.
such an analogy for life?
Yes.
And, like, I love that the subway line too has because I can be out and it's, "Okay, I headed to over here," and I know that there's 5 different ways to get there. And another analogy for life, I could take the B train, then hit that, and then change that,
Oh,
and taking the wrong train and realizing, "You can just turn right back around real easy." So,
right.
yeah, so, yeah.
And the things you stumble on along the way, and the things that you see
The
and
things you see,
discover.
the people, like this older woman from the UK, like literally, she was there with her. They were visiting from the UK, and I'm sitting literally up by that door that connects cabs. And
Mhm.
when it took off, she was like, "Whoa!" and stumbled and practically landed in my lap. And I didn't even realize. I'm glad I caught her as softly as I could because she had a broken arm, and she was such a like she'd fallen off a curb while she's been here, and she's still out there with her broken arm, and we talked for 5 stops, and I will never see her again, and she had such a big impact on me.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Just the humaning and the people
Yes.
stuff that goes on, and I think is pretty awesome when you realize you're in a cab and y'all are all in there going in the same direction, and we're all different,
Mhm.
and I love the subway.
And boy, do we need that human connection now, I mean, we always do, but particularly in this point in time, just that reminder of our
'Cause we don't do
of
this.
our humanity.
We don't do this enough, and I can't remember the exact
Yeah.
statistic, but, like, I've been reading up a lot on midlife and longevity, and not having female friends in your life. Jane Fonda always says this, and she said it first, and then I went and found that there was a study, I think it was a Harvard study, not having female friends in your life is worse for you than smoking.
I believe it.
And then 2, like, I'll go out and get my coffee, and if anybody has anything to serve, we'll want coffee. 'Cause I'm like, I'm investing in my longevity because that, like, interaction right there with your barista. So next time somebody says, "You're drinking too much this is my longevity. Never mind like, whatever the caffeine might be doing for you or not doing for you, but just saying hello, them knowing my name.
That interaction. No,
Interaction is
I get it.
huge with your postman, with your barista, that it all contributes to
Yeah.
living longer, and isn't that the goal?
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned about we need to get out, like, we need to get out, we need to explore, we need to have those interactions. And I'm fully nomadic, so I move around all the time, and I spend a lot of time in smaller towns and smaller communities. And very similar to what you're talking about, I look for the events and the groups and the festivals and the book signings and all of that. And that's what, like, brings the joy, and that's what helps me meet people and have those interactions. But like you mentioned, I talk to people all the time that have lived in one place for a particular time, and they don't go anywhere, and they don't even make those connections. So I do think that there's a lot to having a little bit of that exploring spirit wherever you are, whether it's the greatest city in the world
Mhm.
or any other little small town.
Midlife
So I
is like the call to adventure, isn't it?
yes.
That we're empty nesters. This is our time right now. Like my
Yeah.
80-year-old grandmother said to me,
Yeah.
"Do this while you're young." I'm glad, and it's like we think can't up there. I'm 54 years old now, and my grandma's like, it's all perception, and
Oh, yeah.
do this while you're young. We're still young, still got a lot in the
Yeah.
tank.
So do you have any thoughts for, because a lot of the midlife women they're in the thick of it right now. They might be on the verge of becoming empty nesters. They may be taking care of aging parents. They may be in a career that they've been in 20 plus odd years that no longer very exciting to them. And there's a sense of being afraid to quote start over or to try something new or to take too big of a risk. Do you have any thoughts on that or how you would help people that might have that mindset?
I ditched a 20+ year career in TV news, just practically like over. I mean, literally, I was the last person in the news because I eat,
No.
breathe, slept that job.
Yeah.
I was that job. When I quit, it broke my heart because my son said, he's if you quit, who will you be then? That's you, and we define ourselves so much by our titles, mom, daughter, all that. But I'd say, like, if you're starting over, thinking about starting over, how exciting! How exciting! How exciting is that? You get to reinvent. And, like, you're not starting over, but what is it? What is the saying? You're not starting over from scratch. When I quit the TV, I'm like, "What do I have?" And I'm like, "I can do social media in my sleep because I booked segments and did TV and condensed." Like, I did content. It looked different, but it's the same
Mhm.
thing. Like, you're coming at it with so much more experience and wisdom, and I just think it's the most exciting time in the world to be able to start over. I posted the other day, I wrote a carousel in the city, and I think it's just really funny how this midlife time it's just getting back to who we were as a kid and doing the things you love again. I think starting, I mean, how exciting! I'm just like anybody's going through that and getting. I didn't realize when I was in it what I was doing. Yeah, I didn't get it, but, like, I feel like I got so burned out. I think the anxiety was an alarm
Mhm.
telling me my body telling me it's time to
Mhm.
move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's happening to a lot of us. Same thing happened to me. I left my corporate career in 2022 and had no plan, just was done. You just get to a point where had to do it for my own health, but starting over was scary, but fun and exciting at the same time. You're absolutely right. And getting back to my childhood joys and desires, absolutely. I connect with all of that you're saying. Now, when you think about you've been on like a metamorphosis for the past 5, 6 ish years. What are you most excited about for the next 5-ish years and where you're going?
I to give myself some grace and slow down, and that's
Mm,
okay because, I mean, I was balls to the wall every single day, and even when I don't know how to rest. I think I don't know. I feel like there's something about our generation that, like, women really resonate with that. I don't know how to rest without guilt. Like, I thought my value laid in my productivity.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're, like, at this time in life, we're moving to a time where instead of proving ourselves, we need to be improving ourselves. Instead of showing off, showing up. I just wanna give myself some grace and be like, "You don't have to be boss to the wall every day." Like, you don't have to write a thesis every day. Like, just having an impact on the person who in my building who I just smiled at and said, "Have a nice day." And I just saw my neighbor for the first time who I've lived next to for probably a year, but we never intersect in the hallway. Like
Mhm.
that's what we remember in the end, not how much we hustled. And I haven't brought this up, but it was a huge wake up call. I had my biological father passed away, and I think that's what led to the quitting of the TV job because I barely knew my biological father. He was homeless for 8 years of my life. He was a Vietnam vet. A lot of stuff that Gen X women went through with Vietnam that dads, and I had to go make the decision to pull his plug, and it was such a wake up call. And then a few years after that, I lost my sister, who's a year younger than I am. And I'm just determined at this point in my life to live my life for her. No, if anybody hustled, my sister did. She cleaned houses. She worked herself to the bone. And she's the last person who deserved what happened to her. She had a rare, rare lung cancer. And all of that was a huge wake up call to me. And I'm determined from this point out to live my life for her and live it twice as hard. We were a year apart. So, yeah. And I have a sister who's 10 years younger than I am. And Christina was our middle sister, and she's actually coming to visit tomorrow. And it's just things like we're 10 years apart and I don't know my sister as an adult because I was gone. So my middle sister, Christina, was like our glue. She's come here to visit once a couple of years ago, but I can't wait. She's going to spend 5 days here. And because isn't that weird? We're 10 years apart and I don't know my sister as an adult. And I love her. She's the
Right.
coolest. She's so much like me, but I like moved away. We're 10 years apart. We're 1,000 miles apart. So I just think that's the stuff you take to your grave with you,
Mhm. Mhm.
not this hustle culture.
Yeah, I saw you posted about that recently too. You talked about how rest isn't earned, it's not a reward. Like Gen X women, we have this busyness as a badge of honor kind of a
Mhm,
thing. And I resonate so much with what you're saying with the wake up calls after loss and trauma, and that it's taken us to midlife to realize that the joy and the beauty is in the moment and is in the day is in each individual simple experience. I totally get that feeling. And I'm excited for you for your visit with your sister. That's gonna that's gonna be fun.
yeah, just cool to all your podcast listeners. Sorry, I don't care about that, but it's stuff like that you don't realize until you get those wake up
Yeah.
calls.
But they do but the listeners do care to hear about that stuff because it reminds them
Go here,
because recall who in my family do I need to get to know? Or I got together with a friend last weekend from college. I hadn't seen them in 40 years. So I didn't have any idea what that was gonna be like, and it was it was such a beautiful thing because we hadn't seen each other or really spoken in so long, but we connected in such a beautiful way from because of our shared history and shared past and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's another thing to be just reminded of is where can you foster some of those connections again and restart some of those relationships.
mhm.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, I love this guy learning. Look at me. Got a lot of tabs for people who are
You've been
learning to love midlife by Chip Conley. I love this book because
Oh, I
one of
don't know that
one
one.
of the things that he talks about too is that in midlife we're moving from ego, the
Uh-huh.
hustle culture, to the soul.
Yes.
And midlife, and they talk about the U curve of happiness too, and I've seen even on threads, people saying, "Oh my gosh," because the U curve of happiness, it's like a smiley face or a U, and midlife is like as low as you can get on the U curve of happiness, and you can look at it that way, or you can look at it like you've been slowly getting fatter, but it's all up from here, baby. It's all up from here.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'll put it in the show notes too, the title and everything. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Angel, thank you so much. I really enjoy chatting with you. As I told you before we started recording, I'm gonna meet you in real life one of these days because there's just there's so much that you've gone through that I can connect with. So I would love to buy you a cup of coffee and have that
Yes, and all the Beastie Boys square.
Yes.
All the stuff that the 20-year-olds are showing you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Beastie Boys
Yes.
square.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Where do they find you on? They got to find you on TikTok.
Well, yeah,
So,
I'm incognito there, I guess, because I'm AJ Girl 1. Yeah,
mhm.
just starting that account and not thinking anything about the name I was giving it. So I'm
Uh-huh.
AJ Girl 1 on TikTok, Angel M. James on Instagram, and on Thread. So, yeah, that's where you can find me if you wanna come hang out or say hello. Yes.
Yes. And then enjoy some of your taste in music because I love I love your song choices. Thanks, Angel. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Blueprint Breakers podcast. And a very special thank you to today's guest, Angel James. If you don't follow her yet, please find her Instagram and TikTok. I will link it in the show notes. Thank you again for listening and sharing this episode with your friends. If you haven't done it yet, please go to your podcast provider and leave us a 5-star rating. Have a great week. Keep on breaking those blueprints and rewriting your own.